Testing. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. We're going to be talking about the goal of specialness today. So I'll finish off the rest of the people who come to my class. Because there's nothing that's more challenging to people than what the Course in Miracles says about specialness. But it's also one of the most fascinating parts of the Course in Miracles. So we're going to talk about specialness as a substitute for love on page 499 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. Welcome to A Course in Miracles with Earl Purdy on Facebook Live. It's a pleasure to have you all that's coming online right now, and as well as the people that are in the room right now. So open your minds. Remember that you need not believe the ideas, you need not accept the ideas, you need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist, some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe and quite startling. You're not asked to judge the ideas at all, and analyze the ideas at all. If you use the ideas, you'll see that the ideas work. And it's a pleasure to get a chance to focus on some sanity together. To hear something other than the insanity that I hear from my own ego and the ego of others. There's only love or fear. That's the only thing that's happening in your life right now. That's it. There's a lot of names that love goes by. Happiness, joy, peace, fun, health, abundance, prosperity, loving relationships. And also fear goes by the name of hatred, guilt, attack, sickness, worry, depression, thinking that you're a body that dies. One of the hardest things for us to do according to the truth is to separate ourselves from what we've made up ourselves to be. That we actually don't realize how much we are programmed. That most people have no idea that we've been programmed from the moment we entered in here to believe the world's ideas, the world's values, the world's beliefs. And sometimes the thing that's such a trip is that we miss the obvious, which is that if any of that was true, we would be happier, the world would be happier, and we'd have a more peaceful experience that we're all having here. So it's amazing to me that we haven't begun to really get that it's the thought system that we're all living by that's keeping us in conflict and pain. It's the things we've been taught, what we believe about ourselves, what we've been taught about ourselves. So the Course in Miracles comes in and it shatters all of that, all those beliefs. So the part of us that's been programmed, it fights this tooth and nail to make sure that we don't hear it or we don't do it. Fortunately, you'll go through so much pain that one day you'll decide that you want to do it differently. That's the good news, is that there's a limit to pain. You're going to reach yours one day, and then you're going to go, there must be a better way, and then you're going to start doing it. What's amazing to me after doing this 38 years is I've seen tolerance for pain beyond my wildest imagination among people. It is amazing how much stuff we go through before we, change our minds or really want to change our minds. And but fortunately, it does happen. It does. It does happen because the Course in Miracles teaches that God didn't make a voice for me or you alone, that every one of us has equal access to the truth and equal access to the answers if we care to invest the time to do it. So we're going to be on page 499, chapter 24, the goal of specialness. If you're in the Kindle, we're chapter 24, the goal of specialness. And I'm going to start on this. I'm much more interested in hearing what it's saying than how far we get. Amen. I'm not concerned with giving us more to forget. So, and those of you who feel like you're in ecstasy right now, everything in your life is peaceful, everything is great, I want you to rejoice with us. and just use this as an opportunity to reinforce your beliefs.
That's right.
Okay, because I know that some of you will say, well, everything's cool for me. Everything is great. That's great. Good. The Course in Miracles says if that's the case, just rejoice with each other. It says, forget not that the motivation for the Course in Miracles is the attainment and the keeping of the state of peace. Don't forget that the only purpose of the Course in Miracles is to help you achieve the state of peace and maintain peace. The purpose of the Course is to have peace of mind. Didn't I say the purpose of the Course is to have a brand new car? Didn't say the purpose of the Course was to have a brand new house. Did not say the purpose of the Course was to find your soulmate. It says the purpose of the Course is the attainment and the keeping of a peaceful state. So it's important that people who study the Course in Miracles get clear about what it is the Course in Miracles is trying to help us achieve is what? A peace of mind, not material things. Peace of mind. It says, given this state, what state? The state of peace. Then the mind is quiet. What happens when your mind gets quiet? Well, he says that's the condition in which God is remembered, is attained. So if I want to remember God, if I want to remember love, if I want to remember the truth, I need to have peace. So the Course in Miracles is about giving us peace of mind so we can hear our guidance. Everybody clear about that one?
Yes.
Okay. Then it says it's not necessary to tell God what to do. But what is it that we do constantly? Tell God what to do. We say, God, I want this, and then give me that, and then I want this to work out over here, and I want to get this promotion over here, and I want this. When you think about it, we don't ask God. We tell God. We tell the universe. I tell God what God wants. If God is real, then God's going to give me that. So the Course in Miracles says that it's not necessary to tell the Creator what to do. The Creator, what? Will not fail. The Creator will not fail. So if the Creator never fails, then would it be true then where you see failure would be on you? If the Creator never fails and you perceive failure in your life anywhere, then who failed?
We did, because we didn't give it up to God.
That's right. We failed because we didn't give it up to God. I love it when you talk dirty. Okay, now, want to give a shout out to Demola, who's watching. You're here and you're here. Diana and Jesse and CJ and Jim and Stephanie and John and everybody else that's watching right now. So it says God will not fail. Where God can enter, God is already there. So where love can enter, love is already there. Don't forget God is love. So where love can enter, it's already there. Which means, can it be possible that your Creator cannot enter where your Creator wills to be? Could God not enter where God wants to enter? If the most powerful intelligence being in the universe wanted to enter, can it not enter where it wants to enter? So the Course in Miracles says peace is going to be yours. Yay! It's guaranteed you're going to have peace because it's God's will. So there is no possibility of failure. And I'll give you another word for peace because I've heard peace say, that sounds boring. I've heard peace, people tell me that peace sounds boring, that the way they learn peace, that sounds like it's boring. Anybody familiar with that attitude? Okay. Peace, according to the Course in Miracles, means total fulfillment. Does total fulfillment sounds boring? No. So another term for peace is total fulfillment. Okay? So it says total fulfillment will be yours. Why? Because it's God's will. See, if the only way I can be discouraged is when I think my peace is up to me. But if I really knew it was guaranteed by something greater than me, would I be more peaceful? Yeah. So the reason why we feel discouraged is because we are trying to do it on our own. And so the Course in Miracles says peace will be yours because it's God's will. Can you believe a shadow can hold back the will of the universe? So let's say, can you believe a shadow can hold back the will that holds the universe secure? God doesn't wait upon illusions to let God be God. So God does not wait upon your false ideas and your fears to let God be God. Would be another way of saying love, which is really great. It says love does not wait upon fears, to let love be love. Because we're only talking about love or fear. Don't let the terminology of the Course fool you. When it says God does not wait upon illusions, that's the same as saying love does not wait upon fears. To let love be love. No more his son, which is you. You are what you are. You are love. And what illusion can idly seem to drift between them has the power to defeat what is their will. So there's no fear that you can possibly have that has the power to defeat God's will. And let's loop back. What is God's will? For you to achieve peace. So there is nothing that can defeat that. If you believe that you're destined to be happy, you'll be more patient about the process. The Course says impatience comes from not being certain of the outcome. So the more you doubt the outcome, the more impatient you are. The more you're certain of the outcome, the more patient you are. If you tell me you're going to pick me up at 4 o'clock and I'm certain you're going to pick me up at 4 o'clock, I'm not going to be impatient about when you're going to show up. If I'm not sure you're going to show up, then I'll become impatient. So you're never impatient when you know how it's going to turn out. It's like somebody saying, come over at 6 o'clock. Well, you may be anxious to go over there. But on the other hand, by being certain of the outcome, that gives you a certain amount of peace. So peace comes from certainty of the outcome. So if I believe my Creator cannot fail and nothing that my Creator wills can fail, then I'm going to be more peaceful about the outcome. So to learn this course in miracles requires what? A willingness to question every value that you hold. Woo! It didn't say a willingness to question some of the values that you hold. It said to learn this course, you have to be willing to let go of your attachment to your belief system. That's just all that's saying. You ain't going to learn the course and still want to hang on to the way that you believe that the world taught you around separation. You also are not going to be able to fit the course into what you already believed is opposite to the course. And I see many Course in Miracles students try to do that. They want to take what they believe and then try to fit the course into it, and it won't work. You have to be willing to question everything you believe if you want to achieve peace. If you really want to have peace, you have to want to be happy more than you want to be right. You have to be willing to be wrong about everything you're thinking if you're not happy. And then the Course says, not one belief that can be kept hidden and obscure but will jeopardize your learning. So what does that mean? That you can't hide any of your beliefs. You got to be willing to look at every one of your beliefs, even the ones you're not aware of. And if you're wondering what beliefs you have that you are not aware of, that's the world you see. The world you see is a reflection of the beliefs that you have that you might not know you have. It's not you and the world. It's not the way I think and the way the world thinks. The Course says the way the world thinks is the way you think. That's why you're here. But you're not aware that you have those thoughts.
How do you become aware of what you don't know that you don't know?
By studying the Course and doing the workbook lessons.
I can't have a pet belief and learn.
No, and that's, I'm glad you asked that, because people ask that all the time, and I go, well, the curriculum is right in front of your face. That's the whole purpose of the Course, is to teach you the other way of looking at things. But sometimes people want to get the result of the Course without doing it, and that's not going to work. That's not. As a matter of fact, what I want to do right now, and this in no way is anything negative. That is. It's actually neutral. It's just the way you reacted to it that's making it what it is. It didn't freak me out. Right, so it wasn't really the screech. Okay, it was the attitude you got about the screech. That's a demonstration. And that was the demonstration of everything that I'm talking about. We have a tendency to think there's something objective and outside of us that's making us feel a certain way, and it's not true. It's the way it's the meaning I'm giving to it that's making me feel that way. So what I want to do, I'm going to be doing this over the next few weeks. Is I would like a list of the people who are reading the Course, whether that's the workbook, whether it's the teacher's manual, the text, or all of it. If you're not, that's fine. But what I'd like to find out is who's actually reading it, because there's another thing I'm going to do that is especially for people that's reading it. I've been doing this 38 years. I have a lot more knowledge of the Course in Miracles than I'm able to share on Sundays. But it also is only so much I can share if a person's not actually reading it themselves. So I want to have classes that I do for people who benefit from it, who don't necessarily read it. And I like some things I'm going to do for people who are.
Does that include listening to the CDs?
Listening to the CDs is good too.
Okay.
Yeah. Some people are auditory. But I just want to find out who's actually actively learning through it and kind of reading it and checking it out. Yes.
So, those people who are online who can't do this, should they shoot you an email?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. Those of you who are online, go to my website. My email is really easy. It's earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. I know that's rough, but that's my email. My email address is my name, earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. Because there are different tiers of teaching that I'm going to do this year. And so, because I got a lot I want to share that I don't get a chance to share. So anyway, because when I look at this book, most people that look at this book, it looks like Chinese, even though it looks like English. They'll read it and go, what the hell did I just read? And some of you had that experience. Or you find an enormous resistance to actually reading it. But then guess what? There are some people that are actually reading it, that go beyond the resistance, that actually read it, and I want to also take advantage of that too. Because when I look at the page now, it's easier for me to understand what this is saying than when I read other stuff. It's flipped. It's what the world teaches now that doesn't make any sense to me. And what the Course teaches that makes sense to me. So it promised that would happen one day. He says it in the book. One day, this is what's going to seem the most natural to you, and it's going to be the other stuff that the world says that seems the most insane. And so I know there's been a reversal in my thinking because that's what happens. Now when I look at the TV and look at what's going on in the world and listen to people's conversations, in most cases it sounds crazy to me. And then I look at the truth teachings and they make sense to me. Now it seems crazy to me to believe I have nothing to do with the way that I'm feeling. But I used to believe people were causing the way that I felt. I used to believe I was a total victim of my gender, my sex, my race, my upbringing, and there was something out there that I had to fight that was doing something to me. Now I believe I'm responsible for the way that I'm experiencing everything that's happening to me. I used to believe I had to do it the way the world said I should do it. Now I believe I set my own goals that I'm going to achieve. Now I believe that everything that seems to happen to me is something I'm requesting, asking for, and attracting and calling to myself, when I used to believe it was just the opposite. So now the other way seems, because the other way, I don't see how you can win with the other way other than feeling sorry for yourself. I can't really see how the other way of being a victim of everything actually is a winning proposition. Can you? I mean, think about it. If everything about your happiness depends on somebody else or something outside of yourself, then it seems like you're in a pretty helpless, hopeless position. But I remember when I loved to look at it that way. I could tell you that, I'd be so much happy if my father had been different. I'd be so much happier if my mother hadn't had the issues that she had, So now I can't use that excuse anymore because everything that's happening to me is happening to me based on what I'm thinking today, right now. So I can't use that excuse anymore. Everything you're experiencing is happening to you because of the way you're thinking today. It's not happening because of the way you were brought up. It's happening because of the way you're thinking today. It's happening because of the way you're thinking today. Okay? So the Course in Miracles says, no belief is neutral. What does that mean? Like when you're reading the Course, you could go, okay, it says no belief is neutral. Then you could go, what does that mean? Well, it means every belief has the power to dictate each decision that you make. So every decision that you make is coming from your beliefs. Every decision that you make, every choice that you make is coming from your what? Beliefs. So that means that every decision that you make is the outcome of what you believe. Now think about that. If every choice you make and every decision you make is the outcome of what you believe, what if your beliefs are wrong? Then all your decisions are going to be wrong. If I believe that the way I'm feeling is being caused by something that CJ does, then any decision I make about how to change that would be wrong. Because if I believe it's being caused by her, then I'm going to try to change her. So that decision to change her is going to be a wrong decision. But why? Because my belief is wrong, that she would be the cause of what I'm going through.
And it would be an ineffective decision.
It would be a totally ineffective decision because that's a subtle way of her letting me know I'm not going to change her. She was trying to be tactful about that, but she didn't pull it off. And I'm too lazy to try. Y'all gave that the meaning that it had for y'all again. Have you noticed that there's a part of you that loves to hear this and a part of you that gets depressed?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we're not exactly sounding like a cheerleader section over a session over. I'm not exactly seeing people jump up and down with ecstasy over what we're hearing. So there's a part of us. The Course says that this is very sobering.
Yeah.
That this is very sobering to hear, and so. And so the Course in Miracles is saying every decision that you make is coming from the beliefs that you have, and the beliefs that you have determine the decisions and choices that you make. And it also says that, I love this, your decision is the outcome of belief, and so it follows as surely as the suffering follows guilt, and freedom follows sinlessness. So what does that mean? It just means that the more innocent you think you are, the freer you're going to become. And the more guilty you think you are, the more limited your experience is going to become. That's simple. The more innocent you believe you are, the more freedom you're going to experience. The more you believe in guilt and sin, the more you're going to become limited.
That's right.
And so it says, there is no substitute for peace. There's nothing I could possibly give myself that's going to substitute for peace. Peace is the main thing that I need to have, more than anything else. I need to have peace. Why am I trying to make sure I have enough money so I can have peace? Why am I looking for a relationship that I think is going to be awesome? Because I think it's going to bring me some kind of peace and joy. Everything we do is to bring us some form of peace or enjoyment or satisfaction that we think we want. But there is no substitute for peace. And every time I make my peace dependent on something outside of myself, my peace is in jeopardy. As soon as I set my peace is dependent on anything outside of myself, I can lose it. So the Course in Miracles says, for what God creates has no alternative. The truth arises from what God knows, and your decisions come from your beliefs. As certainly as all creation, which is the extension of love, rose from within God's mind because of what God knows. So every decision that you make comes from your beliefs, and everything that you experience and perceive comes from your beliefs. So before I go to the next part, any comments or questions about what I've covered? Because these two paragraphs said a lot. Yeah, my brother.
Did you say a hidden belief is a reflection of the world I see?
Yeah, that the part of the Course in Miracles says what we see in the world represents some segment of our beliefs that we are not owning. Mm-hmm. That, whatever you see in the world, you're the one defining what you see. So therefore, everything you see in the world is a reflection of your beliefs about what's happening. There's some people that look at what's happening in the world and what they see is a healing.
Right.
They'll look at it and say, well, everything that's going on in the world, even though I may not realize it, is really some type of a healing that's happening.
So you see what you believe.
You see what you believe.
What you see.
Yeah, you're seeing so if you see attack and violence in the world, that's a reflection of your perception and belief of attack and violence. What the Course in Miracles says attack and violence is a call for the help of God. So what you would be seeing with every murder would be, that's a call for God. 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 So everything we see in the world is a reflection of our belief. But if I look at the world and all I say is there's attack, there's a murder, there's hate, then that's still my definition of it. So that's still coming from my beliefs. What I see is coming from my beliefs. It's so simple that it can be hard to get. That's the problem with it.
So you talked about a hidden belief. Is that more of a subconscious kind of state?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's almost like if you were to look at your mind the way you would look at an iceberg, how there's just a tip sticking out the water, but they say usually what's under the water is much bigger than what you see on top. Mm-hmm. And what sunk the Titanic was what was under the water primarily. What sinks us is what's under our conscious beliefs. It's the beliefs that we have that we don't know we have that's doing us in, not so much the beliefs that we have. Because the Course in Miracles says we make up two faces for ourselves. One face is the face of innocence, which he says is the face that's always being, stuff that's being done to. That's the good person in the bad world. That's the nice person that wouldn't hurt anybody if they didn't mess with them first. He calls it the face of innocence. He says all of us make one. The nice person face. I'm the really nice person in this world that's so cruel that anything could happen, but I'm the nicest person walking the street, you know. And then he says underneath that is a lot of anger and grievances that have not been resolved that's being reflected back to you through what appears to be the other people around you. You think you've gotten over what happened to you in your relationship 5 years ago. You could be still harboring a lot of grievances around that. You could still be holding grievances around what a parent did to you in your perception. He's saying those are your hidden beliefs. So we have a lot of hidden anger that we are not owning. And that hidden anger is reflected back to us in terms of the people that we attract to ourselves that mirror that back to us to let us know we have a call for love that we need to have answered, or we would always fool ourselves. And that's the beauty of getting in a relationship. You can't hide in a relationship. I always use the analogy of, you know, you wouldn't know a piano could make any music until someone struck a key. So if nobody ever pushed that key, you would think the piano was silent, right? Okay, relationships are somebody playing you. that you become a concerto.
That's right.
And so they continually push you. Oh, you thought you were so patient. Try that. You thought you were so forgiving. What about this? You thought you loved me unconditionally. What about this? You thought you weren't controlling. Bing. You know what I'm saying? So as long as I'm not in a relationship, I can pretend I'm enlightened.
Yeah.
Because nobody's playing me except me. So I'll give me a dog. You know, so it you know, and I blame my dog for what I'm going through. That dog just didn't poop all over the carpet, then I wouldn't be upset. Because I need to have something. You know, let's face it, if I'm going to keep my face of innocence going, I need to have somebody to blame.
That's right.
I need to have somebody else to hold responsibility for the upset that I'm feeling. Rather than me own that I'm making myself upset, I have to say, you are making me upset. For me to keep my face of innocence, then it's not anybody ever. I'm not doing nothing to nobody. Everybody's just always messing with me. Have you ever said that? Have you ever said that? Yeah. All right, so then if we admit it, then we all feel more innocent about it and let it go. I know y'all not nice as y'all act. And so I just get straight. I know y'all, none of y'all nice as y'all act on the outer, because I'm not either.
Right.
So I know you're not. You wouldn't be around me unless you had both sides. You're not around anybody that's different from you. You're not around anybody that's different from you. You're not around anybody that's different from you. Everybody around you is sometimes peaceful and sometimes upset. Sometimes feel love and sometimes they think they don't feel love. Sometimes they're happy and sometimes they're not. And even if someone tells me they don't feel that way, that's not true, I don't believe them. Just because you say that doesn't mean I'm going to believe it. If you were that pure all the way through, you'd be glowing in the chair, floating around the room, loving us. We'd be like crying from just the energy that you're emitting.
Probably wouldn't be here.
You probably wouldn't be around me. That would be, but that's the way I know you're not that way. You know what I'm saying? And I don't say that. I'm going to answer you, Peter. There is no way that I can be different from everybody on earth and be here. That's my specialist trying to tell me that. So I'm just calling it like it is. I love saying that I don't know how to love everybody completely all the time. I don't have any kind of guilt about saying that. That makes me feel like I'm an honest person. I don't feel like the people who claim they've mastered love and not are honest people. I just don't. Because if you really have, you would not know I was different from you. You would feel complete oneness with me, and you would be just as much concerned about my welfare as you are about your own. And you would be taking 100% responsibility for your experience. And you would feel whole and complete in your life right now. And you wouldn't be thinking about the past or the present. You would not think you were a body. You wouldn't think you were separate. You would know you could manifest and call to yourself whatever you needed. So you'd just be reeking of love. Yeah. So it's great that we all have each other, that we can learn together to help each other move to the next level. Because if we're not alone, it makes it all easier. Doing it alone is the hard part. So I'm glad I got other people in my life that also realize they need to heal their minds. You know, and you can still go to the movie. Let me get Peter first.
Okay, I want to try to get specific because I know I have problems with that.
Okay.
Am I projecting?
No.
So I know that I do bring a lot of abusive aspects to myself in my relationships. I've been doing it since I was a little kid. And then I've just gotten involved in a relationship. I take care of my godmother, and she has gone through some massive abuse by the people who were hired to care for her. So I'm feeling a little guilty that, well, I'm bringing this to this woman who has dementia. And then she passed away, and when she passed away, the people caring for her just took jewelry off of her and stuff. So now I'm in a position of, I have enough evidence to go and do something about that, because it's, it's endemic in this particular organization. And then I'm feeling guilty that, well, I've brought this upon myself. That I'm, I see abuse, I attract it, I understand that, I try to work with that, try to work with the Course, and I find myself feeling more and more guilty. And now I'm sitting here going, well, she's passed now. They can't threaten to put her in a home. They can't threaten all these things. And, but I can, show that the processes that were done were deliberately done to, rip her off, I guess. I don't know. They've been written up. So I'm in a position of what, I'm feeling guilty if I don't. I'm feeling guilty if I don't. I'm feeling my responsibilities, or did I bring this on her? I'm just lost.
Well, that's like a personal counseling kind of thing that you just shared right there. That's hard to be something to deal with in a class right now. The bottom line, Peter, is that whatever you're feeling right now, you're the one that's choosing to look at it that way. That there's another way to look at this. That is not, that's what the key for you to realize is that what? You have to be willing to question all the beliefs that you're having right now about what you just said. You also do not to keep any of the beliefs hidden or obscured or jeopardize your learning. There's no beliefs that you're having that's neutral. So everything you described about that was the meaning you were giving to the situation.
I understand that.
No, you don't. Because if you really understood that, you would choose for meanings of the situation that would give you peace. See, the challenge is to always say you understand something and that you're still going through the pain of conflict. If you're going through pain and conflict, the Course in Miracles teaches that the first thing you need to tell yourself is that you don't understand anything that you're looking at. Because if you really understood it, you would have peace. So the main point that's being made from this section right here is that the first thing I need to do is look at this another way so that I'll have peace of mind. When I have peace of mind, I'll be able to hear the Holy Spirit. When I hear the Holy Spirit will tell me specifically what to do in this situation. The Holy Spirit is going to guide me through this situation. When I allow myself to have peace of mind, I'm not going to have peace of mind until I apply what I'm learning to the situation. And the way that I apply what I've learned to the situation is to use that interpretation of the situation. I've got to use the interpretations that the Course in Miracles is giving me of the situation consistently. How do I know that I'm not doing that? Because I haven't seen a change in my perception. So I might have to tell myself the truth 1,000 times in 24 hours. I might have to tell myself the truth 2,000 times in 24 hours. I cannot tell myself the truth sort of one time, 2 times, and then think I'm going to have a different situation.
But how do you know the truth? How does he know what the truth is?
It's in the book. I'm telling you the truth now. I'm sharing that's what I'm saying. At some point, we've got to start using the material that we say we're studying and apply it to the situation. That's why we have the book, so that the book is telling us. And then when I said the book, I don't just mean the Course in Miracles. I'm saying whatever your spiritual path is, it's never going to change as long as we read and study and then say, well, what is the truth? Well, you're looking at the truth. He said right here, the truth is the attainment of peace is the reason why we should be studying the Course. Once you have peace, then you'll be able to hear the Holy Spirit's voice. The truth is that I don't care how upset you are about the situation you're in, you're going to end up in a state of peace because it's God's will that you have a state of peace. Mm-hmm. So sooner or later, you're going to have a state of peace. Mm-hmm. What is the truth? You got to be willing to question every belief that you hold. Know every belief that you have is not neutral. That every belief that you have is determined the decisions you make. and that all the decisions you make are coming from the beliefs that you have, and that there's no substitute for peace, and I need to achieve peace of mind until I hear God. Now, when you can say that without looking at the book, then at that point you can start to say, I'm really getting this.
Right.
So what you're saying is give it up to God.
What I'm saying is that giving it up to God has a specific requirement.
That's right.
See, when you say stuff like give it up to God to the average person, that's what I call what a politician does. It's just a talk. It's just a talking point.
Right.
Everybody goes, I'm going to give it to God. The Course says, well, this is what you would be doing if you were giving it to God. If you were giving it to God, you'd be saying peace is the motivation. You'd be giving it to God, you'd be saying, I'm not the victim of this. I'm the one that's determining the way that I'm feeling about this. If I was really giving it to God, I would say none of my beliefs are neutral, and I'm the one that's determining how this is going to turn out by the choices I make. You would actually be repeating what God has told you to repeat and think. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
That's what we're not doing. Trust me, I've been teaching 40 years, and so I can save people time. I'm telling you, there's a world of difference between doing a talking point, which I call, I'm giving it to God, and then going, I have studied this, and I could tell you what he's telling me to tell myself about this, and then I'm going to tell myself. But he also says there's no answer you can give to anybody that they're going to receive until they are ready to change their mind. So you could hear this 10 years, and until you are ready to do it differently because you no longer want the payoff that you're getting from not doing it, then you're going to change. Because there's a payoff that you're always getting for not changing your mind. There's a payoff you're getting in every situation, in any area of your life that you're suffering in, but it looks like you haven't been able to overcome that suffering. That means there is something about that suffering that's more valuable to you, that you're willing to go through the pain that you're going through, than to give it up by giving yourself another way to look at it. And I can tell when that's the case about somebody else. Mm-hmm. I can tell when you're getting a payoff, you're not ready to give up yet, and when you have reached your limit. Because when you reach your limit, you will do what you're told. And you'll do it consistently until you get the result. And you'll stop focusing on the effect, like whatever the physical thing is you think you're going through, and you'll start focusing on the mental cause of the way that you're looking at whatever you're going through. But you'll stop saying, I know I'm doing this and this isn't happening. And I know I'm doing this and that isn't happening. Mm-hmm. Because every time you say that, you close yourself off from guidance. I know means I'm not asking for help. I know means I think I know what's going on. So the more upset you are, the more afraid you are, the more angry you are, the Course in Miracles teaches, the more you should be saying, I don't know what this is for. I do not perceive my own, but I do know this, that I'm determining the way I'm feeling about it right now. You know? When my mother made her transition, I felt more peace about her going than staying because of the level of agony and pain she was going through. So don't tell me just because someone dies, you have to feel bad about it. That's neutral. It depends on how you see the transition. So as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing happening in the world that can't be looked at in a way that you can have more peace about it. And I know everybody can bring up the starving children in Africa and the Holocaust. I mean, I've heard that 1,000 times in 40 years, okay? We can always use extreme examples to justify staying in the thought system we're in. We can all do it. We can all bring up the thing that's the thing that you can say, well, what about that little baby that was born, you know? Well, if you really, here's the funny part, if you really are that concerned about the little baby that was born that you say, how could they have been born that way? You would start to do all kinds of research as to why that possibly happened. And if you do that, it's going to lead you into levels of consciousness and learnings and teachings that's going to blow your mind. And you will get an explanation as to why the child was born handicapped.
That's right.
And that answer will blow your mind in terms of, oh, now I understand and get that. And you still have compassion for the handicapped child and want to help the handicapped child. So there's answers for every question you have about everything. But is your commitment to learning strong enough to make you pick up some books and start trying to find out why? Rather than use that thought to keep you from practicing the truth. Because all of those things are just excuses not to apply what you're hearing. You hear what I'm saying? When you go to an extreme example so that you won't use what we are talking about, just because you don't want to use what we're talking about, you just need an excuse to not use it. So you'll go, what about the starving children in Africa? That's just a way to hold on to what the value that he's saying we need to question. He said it right here. You have to have a willingness to question every value and belief that you have. And are you willing to do that? Because that's going to shake the foundation of your whole world as you know it.
That's right.
Your whole world as you know it is based on your values and your beliefs. So of course that's frightening to think of questioning your beliefs. Everything that you do, every decision that you make. Did he just say your beliefs determine every decision and every choice that you make? So when you say you're going to get into the truth, and you say you're going to study something like the Course in Miracles and all these other metaphysical teachings, I'm sorry, you're going to get everything about your world shaken up. I promise you, you will. Because if you're miserable, you're wrong. If you're miserable, your perceptions are incorrect according to this book. Yeah, you can't be miserable and be right. You can't be angry and be right. You can't feel separate and be right. So we have to make a choice. Am I willing to be right or happy? Are you willing to be right or happy? Yeah.
So Joanna is saying that working in the workbook has really helped her to make some of this practical. And so she's wanting to know how to really engage her level of responsibility from belief. So she gives this example. If I see a car accident, is the car accident coming from my belief, or what is my responsibility of belief in that situation?
Her responsibility is her responsibility is in how she sees the accident. That's her responsibility. When you jump to the next level, which is, did I create the accident? You know what I'm saying? That's another way to keep you blocked. You know, I can debate, and you can debate with me all night long about whether or not I created the accident. Okay? What we won't debate about all night long is you're responsible for how you see the accident. See, you want to always deal with the stuff that's not theoretical. The Course in Miracles says we use theoretical issues as a delaying maneuver to keep us from applying the truth. So when we're not ready to apply the truth, then we start talking about things we can't prove. So I can't prove whether you created the accident or not. So that's not the level we need to be. I can't prove to you whether or not there's reincarnation. I can't prove to you that there's life after death. But we all can easily see the way that you see things and how you see things is your responsibility.
Which ends up being the way we feel.
Which is definitely going to determine the way we feel. Right? So that's what you want. The Course in Miracles says that's what you want to do. You want to not let your ego get you caught up in theoretical issues. The other thing he says that our ego would do to block us is to ask questions like, well, how did we separate from God in the first place? And why did I ever want guilt in the first place? Or why did I, he says that in the book. Those are just other ways to keep the ego uses to keep a person from applying the truth. So he tells you the stuff that your ego is going to come up with to keep you from changing your mind. That's what the beauty of reading the book is about. If you read this book, people will no longer be a mystery.
Right.
I guarantee you. If you really study this book, you'll know what people are going to do before they do it. Even though you may not know you know it's going to be cake. Now, you may not know if it's going to be a chocolate cake, a banana cake, or a strawberry cake. But you know they're going to get ready to put a cake on you. And this book tells you, it goes like this. This is what the ego does. This is what the mind that thinks is separate from God is going to do. Blah, 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 blah. This is what the mind that thinks is innocent is going to do. Blah, 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 blah. So, and it does that all through the book. This is what when you have hatred in your heart, this is what you're going to do. When you realize that you are loving, this is what you're going to do. So that's so practical. Because then if you're out in the world and you're watching and observing, you know what a person is going to do before they do it just by listening to what they're saying. If you talk to a person, they say, I'm angry and I'm guilty and I'm mad. Well, then you know that that's a person that at some level isn't taking responsibility for what they're going through. So what does that tell you? Well, that tells you they're going to blame you too. That at some point they're going to turn that blame right on you because they're not taking responsibility for how they experience something. So that means that if something comes up, they may be tempted to blame you too because that's the way they do. Doesn't mean that they're guilty. Doesn't mean that they're bad. But now I know if I enter into a relationship with this person, it's a good chance there could be a certain time in this relationship that they're going to be angry at me, they're going to be blaming me, and they're going to see me as responsible for their upset because they've already shown me that because all they're doing is talking about what everybody else has done to them. Mm-hmm. But my specialness tells me I'm different. That because I'm different, they're not going to do that to me, though. It's like going out with somebody and all they're doing is talking about how much they hate their ex. But your specialist will say, well, they never feel that way about me. See, that's what specialist, that's what specialist does. It always tells you you're going to be the exception. Even though they're showing you that, they just told you a lie they said about somebody else, but you say they'll never lie to me.
You'll be special for a week.
Yeah. So the problem, so that's right. So the problem, it's almost like the problem is we're so transparent. One of my mantras I ask God every day, not just regard to me, but everybody, is, Lord, let somebody fool me today. That's my prayer every day. Let somebody let people be less predictable. Because you reveal to me how the ego operates. You reveal to me how the mind that thinks is separate from God operates. You reveal to me how a fearful, frightened mind operates. You told me exactly what they're going to do, exactly how they're going to act. And then I'm in a world full of minds that think they're separate and afraid, right? So nobody's being unpredictable. There's just two kinds of people in the world. The people that think they're a victim of what they see and people who think they're responsible for how they're seen. Those are only two types of people walking the street. That's it. Which it could be more complicated than that. But it's not. Isn't that disgusting? Don't you wish you were more complicated? Don't you wish you were more complicated? I know the ego would say, I'm so complicated. And so then the ego brings up very complex situations that you're supposed to try to figure out. Right? And that's just part of the trick. Because you're just describing to me the effect level. You're not describing to me the causative level. You're telling me something that's already happened that you're reacting to, which isn't the same as talking to me at the level of causation. See, the Course in Miracles says, I'm a lesson in cause. He says that, not effect. This is a book about what causes things. This is not a book about the effects. It's like, this is what you do if you don't want to cause any more fear. This is what you do if you don't want to cause any more conflict. But the ego loves to focus on what's already happened. Mm-hmm. That's this fate. I want to talk about the past. This has already happened. So thank you for saying what you're saying, but I want to go to the next part now.
If I caused this...
I don't want to talk about this any further right now, Peter. I want to keep moving in it because I've just given the answer. There's nothing else to say, basically. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just I've given the answer. That there's no way you can get away from however you're seeing this situation is coming from the way you're interpreting it. Whatever you say to me right now is still going to be a reflection of your interpretation of it. And that's what's causing your upset. It's not the situation. It's not. There are people who are on the verge of bankruptcy that cannot pay a bill. And they are not worried about it. They don't care about their credit rating anymore. They don't care about they can't pay that bill right now because they don't have the money. So therefore, they're not going to crucify themselves about the fact that they don't have the money right now. They go, I surrender it. Whatever happens, happens. If they take my car, they take my car. If they take my house, they take my house. I'm not giving up any more piece of my piece on this issue anymore. Right. And then there are other people that think their credit rating is what causes them to survive. And that they couldn't survive without good credit. And I've been fortunate enough to know that ain't true. Okay, I've seen myself be taken care of. My ego sabotaged me at one time many years ago financially. That was ridiculous because I was having so many blessings that I didn't think I deserved. So I sabotaged. And I got to the point. I'm going to keep focusing on the Course. The Course told me this might happen. I'm going to keep focusing on the Course. Everybody else freaking out about, how can I save my credit? No, it's not. It ain't my credit that's taking care of me. It's God taking care of me. And if my credit is bad, I really need to know God taking care of me.
Amen.
So I'm going to really put my focus on my Creator and not on my credit rating. Right. Now I got a super duper credit rating. That's a miracle. Just like the Course says. It's a Course in miracles. My credit, I know God is real. I got 800 plus credit score. That don't make no sense. That's God. But I put my focus on God. I didn't put my focus on the effect of what happened in the bad business deal that I didn't pay attention to the guidance from God about it. Right? But I couldn't have come through to the other side if I was condemning myself, judging myself, and not being aware that that was my own creation through me not listening to the truth. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Only thing that people giving you credit is doing is saying they have faith in your future earning ability. Everybody that gives you a credit card or loan, they're actually saying we have faith in your future earning ability because we're giving you this loan based on the idea that you're going to be able to pay it. That's what loans are about. Somebody having faith that you'll be able to do what you said you're going to do. And why should I be getting upset about them for merchandise I bought that I rightfully owe them the money for? Because I used to be on a level of conscience, I act like I was mad at the creditor. I was the one that charged the doggone card. They're not doing anything. They're not attacking me because they asked me for the money, for the merchandise I bought. But I remember when I was so insane, I would get angry at them like they had done something to me. I know none of y'all can relate to what I'm saying. Everybody's, yeah, it's like, it's funny how when you teaching, how everybody looks at you like, really? Really? What? I don't understand what you're talking about. You know, it's like the healing would be if everybody said, yeah, Earl, I've done the same thing in my life. I've not been able to follow through on some things. But we don't do that. We actually go into almost like, Or if you said like if you said me and my partner had a big drag out angry fights, and then truth students just go, as if they've never gotten angry in a relationship, or they've never cussed anybody out, or they've never given anybody a finger in the traffic, or they have, heaven forbid, to have sexual desires, let alone money things, because we're spiritual now. So spiritual people, they present a persona of total peace and niceness. And real spiritual people go, I'm crazy as hell and help me God. Those are the real spiritual people, not the phony spiritual people. You know, and I told people, sometimes I think that affects like the people who would be attracted to me as a teacher because I don't sit up here and ever act like I don't have an ego. Because the teachers who act like they don't have a lot more people. If you go, I got it all together. Oh, I remember that. I'm Guru Earl. I'm Sai Baba. Or better yet, I'm Sai Bubba. And so I have no issues anymore. And so can I bring you all the enlightenment that I have for you today?
Just sit there and look cute.
Yeah, just sit there and look cute. But you go and say, yeah, I got y'all. I know what you're talking about. My ego is crazy as y'all's. But the only difference is I've had more practice in how to approach it. And I go straight to the book while you're still wondering if you should. You see what I mean? Well, I'm going straight to lesson 76 where you're going, what is lesson 76? I mean, so I'm not coming down on anybody. I'm just letting you know that whatever state of consciousness that you're in, you're there because of the attention and study you're giving to the truth. It's not a punishment. It's just you get out of it what you put into it, just like anything else in life. But what I used to do was put more of my energy in my anger and in my projection and into the blame. Like the Course says, we have misplaced loyalty, that we are totally capable of having faith and loyalty. It says, but we have faith and loyalty in the wrong stuff that hurts us. So we stick with the stuff that doesn't work with a determination that's mind-boggling. We can know the way that we're thinking isn't right and still defend it. We can know that it's not bringing us into peace and still go, yes, but, 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 yes. That's loyalty to a misplaced thought system, is what he says. You're just being loyal to what hurts you when you do that. Because if it worked, you wouldn't even have the issue. Right? If it worked, you wouldn't have the issue. So what do you have to lose by trying something totally different than what you've been doing? What do you have to lose? CJ and I were talking about that the other night about, you know, okay, what's the worst, like we take a situation, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then we run down the worst thing that we think can happen in any situation that we're dealing with. Why? Because once you take it as far as it can go in your mind, one thing that's going to happen is that if any of those things happen, you'll handle it better than you would if you never looked at it. That's the first thing. You know you're going to have more peace, no matter what it is. Why? Because you didn't have a hidden belief.
Right.
You weren't hiding what you thought about that. And so therefore, even if it occurred, you'd handle it better than if, what gets you the most? The stuff that happened that you wasn't expecting and had no idea that it could possibly happen to you. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that freak you out. But if you go, what is the worst thing that could happen in this relationship? What's the worst thing that could happen in this investment? What's the worst thing that could happen if I studied the course? What's the worst thing that could happen if I left town? What's the worst thing that could happen if I got a divorce? What's the worst thing that could happen? Then you are in a much better position to handle it than if you didn't look at that. And then you could also take it the other way and go, what could be the best thing that could happen out of this? What could be the most correct, beautiful way to look at this? Then you covered. But the ego doesn't do that. The ego's whole thing is denial. So if I just pretend it doesn't exist and that it could never happen, then I'm going to be happy. Mm-hmm. You know? And that's a trick. That's a trick. It's a friggin' trick. It's a trick, y'all. And you ought to just too cute to suffer. Don't you know you're too cute to suffer? That's what you should be saying. You ought to get on the phone with your partner and go, I'm too cute to suffer. What's this problem here? I'm much too cute to suffer. You shouldn't be suffering at all. So what is the motivation for this course? The attainment of peace.
Fulfillment.
And when you have peace of mind, then you can remember love in God. It's telling us that this is the key to happen. What I need to do today? I need to be willing to question every belief I have. I should want to be happy more than I want to be right. That's what I should do. So I'm going to do a quick recap of this. Would you acknowledge yourself, please, for this here this month? Those of you online. And when I say that, I really mean that. I want to acknowledge you. This is not easy to hear. This is not like coming to a class on how to manifest a six-figure income. This is different. This is, I'm questioning all the beliefs and values that I have about everything and the way I look at things. That's another level of teaching and learning. Then your ego doesn't mind you coming to classes about how to make more money. That's no threat to the ego. That keeps it going because it keeps you still thinking it's money that's taking care of you. The ego loves that. The ego loves anything that takes it away from God, away from truth, away outer. It loves outer, outer, outer. So whenever I see any people come to a class like this or study the Course in Miracles online here, I have enormous respect for you because I know that you got to be old souls. You've been around the block a few times. If you took into consideration the idea of reincarnation, you've had a lot, whether you believe it or not. And so you're to the point that you're ready to put your peace and happiness before things. Mm-hmm. And you have to be a very mature, because you know things are always available. So it's not a put down of having material things. You're in a material world. So material things, that's actually the easiest thing to have. It's like asking to manifest a car, and there are thousands and thousands for sale in Denver. They're already manifested. We ask for stuff that's already manifested. I want a house. Well, houses are already manifested. What you want is the right perception of it. If you want to have one. You want to have the right perception of cars if you want to have one. The Course says the only thing we have to ask for is the correct perception of things. That's it. I want to look at this correctly. I want to look at relationships correctly. Then I'll have a loving relationship. I don't have to pray for a relationship. What I have to pray for is me knowing what a real relationship is and how to recognize one. That's what I need. There are plenty of people to have relationships with. Have y'all noticed?
That's right.
I always think about when I'm driving down the street or on the expressway or whatever, and I go, how can any of us say we're alone or that we're lonely? There are more people than you could ever get around to. And you think out of all these billions of people, there's nobody that could love you? That's too special. Right? Isn't that right? I mean, that's too special. Think about it. That's too special. There's no one who could love you out of 7 billion people. Are you really that bad? Are you really that bad? That out of all the people in the world, nobody could love you. Thank you for sharing with me. I appreciate your seeing value in what I do enough to share at the financial level, like you do for other things that you value. So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that so much. Those of you online, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, just go to earlpurdy.com. You can do that. I've been having incredible clarity sessions with people that have been mind-boggling. and have really been getting a whole new respect of how the Holy Spirit uses astrology as a psycho-spiritual healing technique. Even after all the years I've done it, it's like it's opening up at a whole nother level as a way to communicate with people. So that's available to you also in working with me if you're open to it. And to go to my website, earlpurdy.com. It explains every service that I offer. But I don't know how to break it to you. You don't have an original issue. Whatever your issue is, it is not original. It is not original. It's going to be money. It's going to be health. It's going to be career. It's going to be relationships. Or it's going to be a God issue.
Or all above.
Or all of the above.
Yeah.
The problems that people have are not, but you know what the real problem is? I think I'm separate from God.
That's right.
That's the problem underneath. The Course in Miracles says all the things that you think are your problem is just what you're using to cover up your real problem. So everything you tell yourself you're upset about right now, you could tell yourself right now that is not what I'm really upset about. And the thing I most say I'm upset about is the thing I'm most not upset about. It's the thing I'm using to hide what I'm really afraid of. And he says what you're really afraid of is love. You're really afraid of connecting. See, separation is no problem for us. It's joining that scares the hell out of us.
Oh, yeah.
We claim it's, I want to join, I want to connect. You know, somebody reach out to you after class, you have to bust out that door. You know what I'm saying? So it's like at some level we have to start getting honest about our egos.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing. I don't mind being honest about my ego because then it won't have as much power over me. Your ego will not have power over you if you admit you got one. It's the hidden ego that does you in, not the one you know about.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't expect you all to be perfect in y'all's expression of yourselves. I don't expect you to always be nice and kind and understanding. That's a good thing because then if you act other than that, I can forgive it and you can forgive me. I'll let you be human in your expression of yourself so that you can finally relax in your peace. And then you can hear the voice for God. Absolutely. So I'm doing Facebook Live broadcasts, 7 p.m. on Tuesday, Mountain Time. I'm doing The Way of Mastery. And you can watch that whether you're a Facebook member or not by just going to facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. Earl Purdy Live. Facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. You don't have to be on Facebook to watch the classes. And they'll repost it. And 7 o'clock on Thursdays, I do a class that's primarily aimed at Course in Miracles students called Hardcore Course. Because this class is assuming that the people online have already decided that the Course is their path and they want to learn more about it. And so I can go more straight, what I call straight course. And then on Sundays, we continue to grow the way we are, that's open to everyone, no matter where you are, because we still benefit from it. And it gives us a chance to have a physical encounter with each other. I'm doing this live because I want us to have an opportunity to still come together. This is valuable to me. Us coming together coming here is not an afterthought if I don't have anything else to do that day. It's because I really believe our connection is intricate to my awakening, and being with you is helpful in healing. And I thank those of you who do see it that way, as something that that it's a priority in your experience, and not just entertainment. Something you do if there's nothing else you got to do. So I think I go by Earl's class. So I really appreciate that. I want you to know that means a lot to me, that you see it as a priority in your experience. And if you don't, you're still innocent. See, that's what's cool about being around somebody that's trying to be sane with you. It's okay if you don't come. Because you know what? I believe it's God's will. I believe it's for your own best interest to be wherever you are otherwise. It's very forgiving, isn't it? You know, if you can't make it, I go, okay, then you weren't supposed to make it today. You break a date with me, then I go, okay, for some reason we weren't supposed to get together today. That's no grievance. But if I go, doggone son of a, they broke that date again, they think they're going to be with me. See, that's an incorrect perception. Because now I'm going to attack myself because you broke the date. Because I'm the one feeling all that anger and upset. So I'm attacking myself because you decided to do something else. And to my ego, that used to make sense to me. That I would attack me because of something you've done. Because I swear to God, y'all, don't nobody feel your feelings but you. All that anger and grievance you got, I don't feel it. I literally do not feel it at a conscious level. So remember that, because you get to the point, your real self will say that to you. Okay, Earl, you all upset. That's just an attack upon yourself. I'm not to break this to you, but there's nobody else feeling this but you. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody else feeling your anger but you. That grievance you got towards your daddy don't even fit. My daddy ain't even in the body. So what kind of sense would it make for me to still be holding a grievance because of what that my father did to my mother when I was 10? It'll get to the point that when you learn the Course in Miracles or in the Truth teaching, you'll stop doing something just because it doesn't make any sense to you anymore and because it doesn't work. That's why you'll stop. You'll go, this is not going to work, so I'm going to stop doing this because I'm the one that's feeling it. Right. There's a workbook lesson that he says that you're supposed to say what you're upset about. He says it in detail. The Course is not about denial. He literally says it. He'll say, think about what you're upset about and who you're mad at and what you are upset about and angry. How many of you have done a workbook and you've seen it? He'll start out the lessons by telling you to tell yourself what you're telling yourself all day.
That's right.
And he'll call it part 1. It's so funny. He say, think about someone you have a grievance with that you think has done you wrong, that upsets you whenever you think about them. And then I go, that's what I do all day. And then he says, now after you do that, say, God is the love in which I've forgiven, or say, this thought is an attack upon myself. And so I realized I was always doing part 1 of almost every exercise that I was studying. But what I wasn't doing was part 2, which was applying the workbook lesson to it. So all of y'all got half the workbook done.
We're halfway through.
You're halfway through. That's good news. So if you bitch and moan all the time, you're a good Course student. And then if you don't believe anything it says, he says, well, you don't have to believe anything it says. That also makes you a good Course student. Right? So the only thing we're missing is the second part. When I go, I'm never upset for the reason I think. This is what I think I'm upset about, but I'm never upset for the reason I think. What could be easier than that? But check it out. Isn't there a part of you that resists it? What part of you is resisting it? It's the part of you that doesn't think you deserve the peace that the Course is promising. Because it's a part of you, he says, that thinks you're guilty or sinful. And so if you think that programming you got as a child is not somewhere in your consciousness affecting your decisions, you probably are not really digging very deeply. Don't you think for a second that programming you got when you first got here is not still doing its thing until you change your mind about it? Because I meet so many truth students who tell me they don't believe in hell and don't believe in sin and walking around feeling guilty about most things they do. Which means you do believe in hell and you do believe in sin and there's something about you that's not okay. But you wouldn't be feeling guilty about what you choose to do in innocence. I like how it gets you out of denial. But it angers the ego so much. So much. Because I had the audacity to tell you all that you all deserve to be totally happy.
How dare you?
I had the audacity to tell you not a victim and that you're loved unconditionally. The Course says, I will be looked at like the devil in an angel's cloak. It says that in the book. He says, if you go out here and you start telling people they're innocent and they deserve love, they're going to be suspicious of you. Right? So people are coming in and be much more suspicious of me saying that they're innocent than they would going to a fundamentalist church and somebody telling them that they're guilty. That's why those churches have more people. Because the people who come to it believe what they're saying. A lot of times the people who come here don't believe what I'm saying. So therefore my credibility is up. You think you're guilty and bad and I'm telling you that you're innocent, then I am the devil in an angel's cloak. And I'm black too. That just add a whole nother layer to it. You know what I'm saying? It's so great. So here we go before you run out. All right. What is the goal of the course? Is it peace?
Yes.
Okay. Is it true that whenever you have peace of mind, you can hear the voice for God better?
Yes.
All right. So that's why peace should be your goal more than the physical thing that you think you want. Is it also saying there's no way that if God wants us to have peace and joy, that it's not going to happen sooner or later?
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. He said that's the first thing you need to realize. You're not more powerful than God is. And so your Creator has decreed that you deserve love, so you're destined to have love no matter what you think or believe. Did it also say if you really want to be happy one day, you got to be willing to question every belief and every value that you hold?
Yes.
Okay. And did it also tell you got to get out of denial and stop hiding your beliefs and your ideas? Did it also tell you that every decision that you make is coming from the beliefs that you have, and the beliefs that you have determine what choices you make? And is it not true if all of your beliefs are based on something that's not true, then your decisions are going to be wrong? Okay. And how do you know when your decisions and choices are usually not in line with the truth? Because you don't feel peace. So you can't be in conflict and be seeing correctly. People don't like to hear that. Why? Because they're in conflict most of the time, so they have to admit that they're wrong most of the time. So they want to believe some of their anger is justified. So then we come up with, isn't it justified for me to be angry about what they're doing to the environment? No. No, it's not justified for you to become that. The anger is never justified. What you need to have is peace of mind about it so you can hear God's voice and the way to handle the situation. That's what's needed. Anger ain't doing no good. What's needed is a peace of mind that can hear guidance so you'll know exactly what to do in that situation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's what it means when it says anger is not justified. It's not justified because it's not making anything better. It's just taking you deeper into not being able to hear God's voice. So then, last but not least, to know that there is no substitute for peace and that there's nothing more important than your total fulfillment. And then being grateful as you can possibly be that your total fulfillment is not dependent on anything and anybody outside of yourself, because if it's not, you can have it now. You know, anything that's not dependent on other people is something you can have now. Anything that's not dependent on other people, you can have now. Anything. But the minute you go, if I get that career going, then I'll be happy, you just put your happiness outside of you. And so now it can seem to happen or not seem to happen. Just like I was giving the example about the credit thing. I got to the point, I did the best I could. You do all the stuff, you contact people, and you try to work out a payment plan, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? But then sometimes you just don't have it, you just don't have it. So then it came down to, well, am I going to continue to crucify myself? I said, because the spiritual lesson I'm getting out of this is how much I had faith in the credit rating than I did God. It completely revealed to me that my so-called belief in God was a total illusion. It was all based on me having the structures of the world in place that had appeared to be taking care of me. So it made me say I really believed in God. And then when all those structures were removed, I got in touch with what was really going on, which is I equated myself with my credit rating. That was my value. So it was like, oh, I needed to see that really the truth is I don't believe in my relationship to my Creator. You know, so what you're going to do, like he said, what's going to happen? Every value that you have is going to be questioned. You're going to get a chance to see what your beliefs are. That's part of it. And then it said, when you see that, then the next thing you want is a belief system that's based on the truth. Because then if I got a belief system that's based on the truth, I am not a victim. I choose the feelings I experience. I decide upon the goal I would achieve, and everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and I'm receiving as I have asked. Then any decision that I make based on that belief system is going to be a right decision. And so I'll start to get the blessings. That's simple, but it's radical.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow.
Could we acknowledge us for hearing this God? Woo! So don't get mad at me. I didn't write the book. I didn't write the book, and I didn't channel the book. So don't get mad at me. I love you. Thank you for coming, Holy Spirit. Thank you, those of you online, doggone it, y'all. Awesome. And I always read through all of your comments. And thank you, CJ, for narrating and keeping that energy going.
Very well.